Now, a lot of us, okay, when we first see an order flow chart, we focus, okay, on this candle. We focus, okay, on this color of this candle, and our minds are actually, okay, programmed, okay, to just look at what this color is. But this color, we have to, okay, just put it aside, okay, for some time and try to understand, okay, why sometimes, okay, this color is red and why sometimes, okay, this color is green, or what really happened, okay, between the high and the low over here. So what we are doing is in order flow is we are adding data to a chart. We are adding information to a chart, and we are trying to find out what happened, okay, between the high and the low of the bar, or what happened, okay, between the open and the close of the bar, right? Now the color of this candle is dependent on the open and the close, right? So if the close of the bar, this is the close, if the close of the bar is lower than the open, the color of the candle is red. Or if the close of the bar, of this particular bar, is higher than the open, the color of the candle is green, right? In order flow, what we do is like, okay, we don't pay attention, okay, to the information in the color of the candle. What we do is we try to find out, okay, what has happened, okay, between this buying and the selling. Now this candle has closed over here at 11:15. Why did it close over here? Because, okay, it met, okay, a little bit of serious buying over here, and that, okay, took it from the lows of 51,219 and placed it right here, okay, around this 51,275, 280 mark, right? The same thing over here. This color became red because there is a 314 lot seller which came in exactly at 51,412 and pushed this from the high to this close. So what you are seeing is you're actually getting a little bit more information than the open, high, low, and close of the bar. And you're seeing, okay, in this important points, okay, where the seller is operating and where the buyer is operating. When I was doing my order flow training, I was told that think of these initiative candles as somebody, okay, who's at the airport, who does not have a ticket, but goes, okay, to one of those counters, okay, like your Indigo counter or a Vistara counter, and tells them, okay, I'm willing to pay you the price, just get me a seat onto this flight because I have to go from Pune to Delhi, and just give me a place anywhere, okay, I'm willing to pay whatever price it is. That is a market order for you. Now, why does this person do it? Because, okay, he's got an agenda in Delhi. He wants to fly, okay, from Pune to Delhi for a conference, for some reason, for a family thing, for whatever he's doing it. But he's got an agenda, he's got a plan, right? The casual trader is not going to go and walk, okay, into Indigo counter at the airport and say, give me a ticket at whatever price. If he has a plan, okay, to go Delhi, he'll book 25 days in advance. And then, okay, he's going to go. But the man in a hurry is going to pay, okay, whatever price, okay, is to be paid to get onto that seat. And that is the definition of a market order. They pay whatever price is needed to pay because, okay, they realize, okay, that this market, okay, is short and wants to go down. So they are in a hurry to go down. And all these sellers, they entered, okay, around this 25,700. In fact, they got a second chance to enter again at 25,700, and the market dropped 700 points lower to about 25,000 and even below.
Good evening, everyone. A quick sound check. Am I audible? So today we are going to have this session mainly focusing on the order flow and why we use order flow, and we will have a look at some of the latest examples of what we need to look for in an order flow chart. So just to begin with, what is order flow and why do we use order flow? we at Vtrender have been using a combination of market profile and order flow to take good risk, low risk trading setups in the auction. So market profile for us helps us to understand the structure and gives us some important levels. And order flow is nothing but market profile version 2 for us, because the order flow is showing us what is happening at those important references which we have marked out on the structure based on market profile. So order flow is not a chart where you need to keep looking at all the numbers. There is a uh, system to studying the order flow chart. There is a sequence about understanding the order flow chart and getting to know which order flow signals are important ones and how do we use the order flow to take some good trading setups. So order flow is nothing but volumes coming to you in live markets, executed volumes, and which are divided into some signals. So we have the RB, which is a responsive buying signal. We have the RS, which is a responsive selling signal. Then we have the main important strong signals which we need to follow in order flow, which is the IB and the IS, initiative buying and initiative selling. So whenever we are looking at any order flow chart, we want to get in on the IBs and the ISS, because that is telling us that the big players are entering there and we need to be in sync with those players. So that is why always when we are looking at an order flow chart, we will look for IBs and IS. So at Vtrender, what we do is we follow the 30-minute and the 3-minute combination. So 30-minute order flow we have for the bias, the longer term bias, and the 3-minute order flow is for our trade execution. So if I just take you back to the 5th of November chart, this is the 30-minute order flow chart. We will have a look at the 30-minute order flow chart and then we will come to the 3-minute order flow chart. So here we need to look for IBs and IS. On the 5th of November, the 30-minute chart is on your screen. The market opened, it made a probe higher. This was a seaside extension, and then we made multiple range extensions to the downside. But albeit we held to this 23980 level. So this FA of 24169 got negated and we got a good up move. This was a neutral extreme profile. So in this 145 bar, the 1345 bar on 30 minutes, this is an ideal IB bar. Although the IB signal is not printed on this bar, if we are aware about what the signals, what the conditions are for an initiative buying signal to be valid, this holds everything, because you have green caught, you have POC in the middle, it's a green bar which is closing around the highs. So with this POC as our reference and this low as our stop loss, we can look for a long trade into this auction. So what we did on the 30 minutes is this POC was held into the close, and the next day we saw a follow up happening to this bar. And then here we got another IB bar. So this IB low was 24440 and the POC before the IB low is this 24355. So this was our reference for staying with the long side bias. This C side did break below the VWAP and went on to test this VWAP of the A period, but it did not break this POC. And C side always is a TPO which we tread with caution, because it always tends to give us a fake move. So immediately after the C was over, we got a D period which got back above VWAP, and then we got another IB bar on the 30 minutes. So a 30-minute IB bar is a very strong signal, and we take that as our reference to have the bias of the higher time frame. So when we closed on the 6th of November with these two 30-minute IB bars, we were definitely looking for more upside. But what happened into the close was we did live this RS that told us that we have profit booking which is coming in, and then we closed around the POC of the day. So still for us here, this IB low of 24448 and this POC before the IB bar, which is at 24450, were the important support levels, holding which we would have remained long, and in the order flow we would have looked for some RB plus IB patterns at these in this zone to go long. But what happened on the next day was, on the 30 minutes, we went on to break those two levels with a red bar, and we took support right at the 24440 level. So you can see we did get some demand coming back in this bar. This was more a RB bar where we have a trifecta of greens here. But the next bar was a 30-minute IS bar. So this completely changed the character of the auction, and this there was no reason for anyone to remain long after this bar. In fact, this was a stop and reverse kind of a bar where this 24437 became an extension handle, and we had this highs of the IS bar as our stop loss to remain short. So after this IS on the 30 minutes, the PLR remained to the downside. We remained below VWAP all day. And you can see the next day we did make new lows of 24159, where we saw demand coming back. How do we know that the demand is coming back? We got an RB bar on the 30 minutes, and you can see the cot is good green, 5324 green. So what we need to do is we need to combine the initiative buying or initiative selling bar signal with the cot. The cot has to be in sync with that. In case the market is moving up and the cot is not in sync with the market move, it may not sustain and it may give a retracement. So we need to wait for both of them to be on sync and then look to accordingly take trades. So in this, what we did was we stalled at the POC of this IS bar and left an RS. This is Friday's 30-minute order flow chart. So this was more an RS signal. So when you have an RS, it is just telling you that the market is going to be in a range, and this is the upside for that range. And we did get a IS at 145, but this was too small a range with very low volumes. 4,900 contracts on a 30-minute chart is too low a volume. So we also need to keep in mind whenever we are looking at IB and IS signals, that particular bar has to come on bigger volumes, whether be it on the 30 minutes or on the 3 minutes. So we need to make sure that we don't take a 500 contract IS bar as our strong signal, because when we are looking to enter with the initiative players, the bigger players, obviously they will have volumes with them. So you will see that the volumes, the IS and the IBs are coming on big volumes, and that is where the market orders happen, and everyone wants to get into the market as early as possible. That is when you get that good move in one direction. So what happened on 8th of November is we remained in a range, and then this is today's chart. What we did today was we opened lower, probed lower, but again you can see we did not get much supply on the downside. The buy side numbers were greater than the sell side numbers. This is on the 30 minutes. I will shift to the 3 minutes and we'll take all the signals which had come in today's order flow so that we can see how do we use them. So till the time you have an IS on the 30 minutes, your main bias will be on the downside, and you will look for bounces to look if you can get a re-entry into the main trend. But today what happened was once we got back above VWAP, we played something what we call the 80% rule in market profile, and we went on to make higher highs in the first half of the day. So in these higher highs, you can see we have been getting RS signals. And the place we stopped today was right at that extension handle we left on 7th of November. This 24437 was one objective which we are looking at, and you can see how we got big reds at that zone. I will shift it to the 3 minute, and we will see how on the 3 minute it was even more easier to spot this big red coming in. This was a combination of profit booking plus supply coming back, because this was a very active supply zone. So what we did after this was we formed a 30-minute IS bar. So here our bias now changed to the downside for the day. So how long do we remain short till the highs of these IS is not taken out, or we get an opposite IB bar? And here inside this IS signal also, we have this POC and this VWAP as our reference. So whenever the order flow is coming at these two references, we will again have a look at what the order flow is showing us. So here you can see how we tag this POC, but we have got zeros on the bottom. buy side. So this was telling us that the downside is not over, and it is very likely to go on to test this buying tail of 24134 and this VWAP of 24159. So which is what happened, and once it touched that, that is where we got this RB signal, and we gave a jump back to this VWAP into the close. So this is how we use the 30-minute order flow, and for now this remains our fresh reference, the 24360. Before this, 24489 was the IS high and 24437 was the extension handle. At that point today, we got fresh uh, supply coming in. So that was telling us that the upside was capped for the day and we can look for more downside. So what I'm going to do, the same chart, we will have a look on the 3-minute order flow. This is a 3-minute order flow, and this is the 7th of November's profile. So we'll quickly go through 7th and then 8th and then today's. So here you can see how this bar, the 924 bar, is a very good IS bar. It has big volume, 9600 contracts. This is a 3-minute bar. So it is coming below VWAP and the POC is in the middle. And in the IS bar, we also look at LLTs where the big numbers are coming in, especially on the 3-minute order flow. So those LLTs form good references for being future support and resistance. So once we get this big number here, 1360, and the POC of this bar is also here at the 24,500, this becomes our supply point. And if we are short and we are part booking, we can use this as our trailing stop loss, because this is also aligning with VWAP further in the day. So this IS bar, 924 bar, is a bar where you would look to be an ideal IS signal, because this has got all the characteristics of a good IS signal. You have zeros in the middle. Zeros in an order flow bar is also very important. The placement of the zeros. If the zeros are coming in the middle of the bar, it is just telling us that one party is just taking away the auction in their direction. And that zone of zeros will also serve as a resistance point if it is coming on the downside. So here this start of zeros, this zone of zeros and this POC become our reference, and we look on for continuation of that move. So when we are looking at an IS bar, if we want to know if the trend is going to continue, we will look for supporting signals in the next T plus 10 bars. So we have the T plus 10 rule, where one signal which is coming on any time frame is valid for that bar plus 10 bars, including that bar. So in that T plus 10, if we are getting another signal which is in sync with the first signal, we know that we need to hold on to our positions. So here when we got this first IS bar, we saw that the POC has shifted lower, but the probe higher to VWAP was met with an RS bar. Here again you can see zeros in the middle. This is showing us lack of liquidity. There is no liquidity, which is why this is swiping. But if it was done by good initiative buyers, they would have made sure they get above VWAP and take off this IS bar POC of 24,500. So until that happens, until we get an IB at VWAP, our short-term bias for the day would remain to be on the shorter side. And we look for a fresh signal. And here what happened on 7th was, once it got this rejection at VWAP, this is an RS bar. Once this got rejected at VWAP, and this was at a particular supply point, just below a particular supply point, we got this another IS bar. This is not printed as an IS because the POC is shifted in the lower quadrant. But here again, you can see in this order flow bar, we've got good volumes, 8,500 contracts, and we have zeros when we have broken these lows. So this is that extension handle which we were talking about. So on the 3-minute order flow, it becomes even more clearer when a big player is entering and when the auction is beginning to move away. So here you can see 527 red, and then you have a zone of zeros, 432 red, 436 red. So here this break of lows has been followed by a good move lower, and immediately after that we get another IS signal. So on the 3 minute, when you're getting IS plus IS and it is making new lows, you know that it is a very strong trend, and your stop loss would become the latest reference. So this 24397 being the stop loss, you would hold on to shorts, and you would hold on to some shorts even into the close, because this is a very strong setup which you are seeing. In fact, this IS signal which came in had even more higher contract, 14,000 contracts. So you take the strong signals which you get, the POC and the highs of those bars as our reference to hold on to shorts. And you can see how the T plus 10 worked out here. Inside this IS, we got another IS. If you are short, you will hold on to short positions. You can trail one part of your shorts with this as your trailing stop loss, and look for a bounce again to uh, get IS signals to re-enter into the trend. So on the 30 minutes, when you have a IS active 30-minute IS bar, what you want to do for the day is look at what the auction is doing near VWAP. If we are getting RS and IS signals at VWAP, there is that those are the fresh triggers to take a short position, book part of your position, and hold rest to cost. So as you can see here, then it started to form a balance in the afternoon, and then again after the G period, it still remained in a narrow range. So you don't need to look and trade all these when you have no signal, no clarity. So order flow signals of IBs and IS make it very clear that when you need to be in a trade and when you need to wait for the auction to show you something which uh, gives you a good risk reward setup. So here again you can see the 1342 bar has got good reds, but what it has done is those reds have come at the lows. So these are more laggard reds which have got stuck. So how do we know they are laggard? Because the POC has shifted here, and immediately the auction is staying above this POC. So once that happens, you know these reds are upside down. These are upside down players. So in order flow, you know when you get these kind of upside down players, you would wait for them for a signal that they have either got out or they have got support in the bounce up. So we will wait for a fresh signal in the order flow to go short. If you are short looking at this stuck players, you would want to cut down on your position. But the main reference would still be the POC and the VWAP of the day. That holding, you look for some fresh sell side signals at that in that zone for a re-enter into shorts. So what happened that day was we went on to make a pullback high of 24318 and got some good uh, sell side volumes into the close. So it did look as if it will open lower the next day. And what happened the next day was we did make a swipe high of 24337, but we went on to make new lows and hit this 24159. This is Friday's profile, and in Friday's profile you can see the second bar of 3 minutes. It is a very clean signal of it being an RB bar. So when you are seeing an open which is probing below previous lows, you would want IS signals to come on order flow. Just like this one, the opening bar was an IS with the POC in the middle, but even though the close was not around the lows, but the lows was broken in the next bar. But what happened was it showed us an RB bar. And here if you see the cot is also not supporting. Cot is telling us that the sellers who had entered in the previous session are booking out. So when you are getting a falling market with green cot, that is definitely telling you that it is profit booking by the sellers. So you would want to wait for that to get into sync before you enter any short position. So here then what we did on Friday is, after making that RB, we went on to make these highs. We got this IB bar. So here again, I'll tell you how not just the IB signal, but also the negation of an IB signal itself is a fresh signal. So here we saw this big IB bar where we saw a 7,000 green at 24344. This is Friday 9:45 bar on 3 minutes, and which was not expected. So what happened was it was mostly a stop loss order and it was a stop of shorts. Most of the shorts got triggered because you can see you have a big zone of zeros here. So the auction was not expecting, the shorts were not expecting this 243102 to be taken out. So once that was taken out, we had a big zone of zeros and we had the 7000 green. So this was more a stop loss order. And how we can make that out is because if it was an initiative buyer, such a big LLT would definitely defend its level. So when the auction was probing at that level, we would have got RBs. But you can see here you got zeros in the very next bar at that level. So it is very clearly telling us that this was not an initiative player but a responsive player. Even though the 945 bar as such was more an IB bar because the POC was in the middle and in the close were around the highs. But when you get such a big LLT, it is very important that the LLT, the POC is held, and the zeros, the start of the zeros, which was at that 24310 level, would be would show some RB pattern. But that did not happen. You can see how the very next bar broke below this POC with zeros at that level. So it was very clear that there was no big buying which was happening, but it was more of a stop loss order which caused this big 7000 buyer to show up. But then the sellers came back and they broke below this POC and even negated this IB bar. So once this was negated, the auction was again looking for more downside with this as our reference. And this 24385 you can see is the IS high of what order flow IS signal we saw. You can see this 10 o'clock IS bar which we got, the high of this is 24389, and this is exactly where we stalled in that bounce on that day and got that big 7000 buyer, which the auction did not sustain, and we went on to probe down. So you can see this NPOC line is exactly from that IS signal, and that we were not able to take off that supply point. And from here, we went on to probe lower. Although we were holding VWAP for some time, we again gave a small bounce, and that zone of zeros which had to show support was now showing us change of polarity. It was showing us supply, and this again with this as our reference, we can again look for short side trades. So what are the rules of the order flow? When you get an IS signal, you want to be with that IS signal as long as that IS high is holding, or you get an opposite IB bar. So that is how we look for IBs and IS signals on the order flow chart. And I'll quickly move on to what happened today, and we'll have a look at Nifty futures order flow of 3 minutes from the open to the close and see what the setups were for today's auction. So, and before I do that, you can see how into the close on Friday, we were talking about this in the VMR also. We saw some supply coming back, and we even discussed this, that the supply is coming back and we could open lower. And you can see 562 red, you got an IS bar, you got reds, the cot is red, and you got a big 930 seller into the close. So it was not a surprise at all that we opened lower today. And the lower open, what we saw was no supply coming at the lows. So this is where order flow stands out. These zeros are one important part of the order flow chart. The placement of the zeros, where they are coming, and whether they are coming on the buy side or the sell side, give us very important cues. So here today at the open, we broke below the neutral extreme VWAP of 24150, and we went on to tag the HVN of 24100 of that day, 5th of November. 24090 and 24100 was the zone from where the auction had reversed to the upside on 5th of November, where we got that neutral extreme day up. So here where in the morning, this order flow bar at the open itself was showing us zeros on the sell side. So this was a very clean indication that the supply is not there on the lows in this zone. So this made us be ready for a probe higher, and once we got back above this 24180, we were looking at the 80% rule. So what we did was, once we got back above VWAP, you can see how we did get some RS bars. This 936 bar has zeros on the buy side, which was telling us that this IS high is stalling the up move. But then when these zeros came and we got this IS, and we were in fact having a long position, we liquidated because we saw this IS. But at the close of once the IS closed and this bar began, we saw you have zeros again on the sell side, and this POC, this green bar POC was holding. So this is when we immediately got back into longs, because this auction had showed us no supply on the downside. It came back above VWAP. It gave us this good green bar at 927, and this POC of that green bar was held in this IS bar, which had zeros on the downside. So here you can easily discriminate what a good signal and what a good signal is, and what a good IB is not, IB or an IS. So for a good IS, this POC needed to be sustained. The auction should have remained below this POC. You can see you have a 950 seller here, but still it was not enough for the auction to hold below or break VWAP. So once this POC is taken out and even the highs of that IS is taken out, this is a fresh long side signal with a stop loss of the lows of the IS. So here you go long about 24205 with a stop loss at 24167, and you wait for that 1:1 target, which would be part booking here at 24250, because this was a old reference. This was the VWAP from Friday. So here when you get an RS, this will definitely tell you to book profit and trail your stop loss to this POC 24181. So what we did was, you can see how again in this dip lower we got zeros on the sell side, and then we did make lower lows, but all those lower lows were showing us zeros on the sell side, and this POC of 24180 was holding. It was showing us change of polarity. This was the RB POC, which was our reference on the upside. The highs it made at 921 was 24179, but once it took out this 24180, that became a support zone. And once we it took support here and we got about this POC with another IB bar. This is a very good IB bar, 1024. This is a sign that you can go long again for whatever probable objectives on the upside is. So here again you can see after this 1646 contracts, the next bar is showing us 10,000 contracts. So this is definitely asking you to remain long. This you've got good big buyer here. You got zeros in the order flow bar. So this 24268 becomes our support because this is the start of the zeros. And then we hold on for targets. What will be the targets? There was one 24344 HVN from Friday, which was the 7,000 buyer. So that was one objective. And with this as a stop loss, we will hold on to long position. And you can see how that objective was hit, and we still remained on the upside because this POC, which has shifted to 24310, was holding. Order flow was very clearly taking support right at this POC, zeros on the sell side in multiple bars we were seeing there. So once it took support there, we could have expected the higher target. The higher targets was the rollover point of 24,400 and that extension handle which we spoke about of 24437. And you can see how we hit that rollover point with an RS. This is where the profit booking was beginning to see, and we were also looking at some supply coming back. So this was a very important zone. So it was definitely a time to become very strict with your longs, book most of them, and trail to uh, tighten up your stop loss to even a higher level. So here again, once we got this RS, we were waiting for more signals. But here you see when we made these new highs in the 1142 bar, just see how many fresh reds, big reds, LLTs came in. You have this 710 red, 1537 red, 1035 red, 657 red, 699, 509. So overall, the huge supply came in, and even the COT was showing us minus 4,617. So on a 3-minute order flow, and this was coming right at that extension handle reference of 24437. So this was very clearly telling us that you need to book out of your longs, and any break of the low of this bar or this NPOC was a fresh short trade for a VWAP test, and with the stop loss being the high of the day. So using, if you know the previous order flow references and where the supply has come in, it becomes more easier. And what the order flow does very beautifully is it starts leaving NPOCs. These are NPOC lines are POC lines which have not been visited. So they start to, when we were going up, you could see these NPOCs on the downside. So when you are moving lower, you will see continuously NPOC lines being left on the upside. So when you see this, you know that the trend is on the downside and you need to be in sync with that particular direction. So here the first test of the POC was done, 24310, which was holding before. What it did hold for one more time, but then after holding it gave us an RS. So once it is giving an RS, it is telling us that the downside probe is still not over. So till the time we did not get an IB bar, there was no reason for us to change our bias to the long side. Here again, after this 24310 broke, we tested the VWAP. Again, here in the VWAP, the first test did not sustain. But what happened in the follow through was this RSPOC, NPOC was holding. So this is a cue in order flow. This is what tells you that the buyers are still not strong enough to take off this seller footprint. So if you're not able to take out a seller footprint, the seller will again look for more downside. And that is what happened. We did get one IB bar here, but this IB is only on 264 contracts. So you need to be aware about which IB signals are good ones, which you need to take, and which are the ones which you need to ignore. Because IB signals, as I mentioned, if have initiative players in it, should be of high volumes. So in an on a 3-minute order flow chart, the IB signals should have at least 1500 to 2000 contacts. That is the bare minimum. The more the better. We saw IB signals on 3 minutes of 8000 contracts and 10,000 contracts. So that is where you know that the auction is moving. You have a strong player and you need to be in sync with that player, and you enter into the trend. So that is what you do. And this IB was definitely one which you needed to ignore, because zeros on the buy side and very low volumes, and promptly, because it was not even able to take off this 24344 reference. So what we did again was, the bias was definitely to the downside. Although we were not getting a clean IS signal, we continued to probe lower. We went on to get some more RB signals at the 24210 level, but then again the bounce held at the IB hedge. So in order flow, it becomes very clear. You have all the levels marked. You have the VWAP marked. You have the NPOCs marked. You have the IBL and the IBH marked. So once we have broken VWAP and now the IBH is showing us zeros on the buy side, you know that the downside is still not over. And here you can see in the just before the K period, we were expecting that 24180 to get tagged, to get hit, and it went, and here you got a zone of zeros when we broke those lows, and it promptly went on to test that 24159 level. And here you see the order flow is showing us a RB bar. So we need bars like this for more continuation. And at important references, if you're getting RBs, definitely you want to come out of the trade. You want to book profits of that trade which you have taken in that direction. So once you got this objective hit, you can easily see how NPOCs are now being left on the downside. So this was very clearly telling that there is a bounce coming back to VWAP. So auction will always reset itself and go get to VWAP before it wants to give the next move. So what it did was, it went on to test the VWAP, and again we left an RS bar and then moved lower and made a close around the VWAP of today. So what we have done in Nifty futures today was witnessed a dual auction. So it was not a clear one side move, but in if we observe the IS signals after this IS came on the 30 minutes, we needed to just focus on the sell side signals which came and look for those kind of trades in the order flow. So this is how we make use of the IB bars and the IS bars. And I have also shown how zeros in the order flow give us very important cues. Zeros in the middle of bar show us support or resistance. Zeros at the extremes are showing us that the auction may be stalling in that direction. And one more important aspect of the order flow chart we have at VMR Vtrender is the COT, commitment of trade. So commitment of trade needs to be in sync with what direction we are looking at. So if the order flow is showing us IS bars, we would want the COT also to be on the red. And we also make a note of the 10 bar COT of both 30 minutes and the 3 minutes. So when you're looking for a move in one direction, you would want all these to be in place. You want to get an IS signal, and then you want the 10 bar chord to be red, and you want to see some red LLTs in the order flow. So when all of these fall in place, that is where you know that this is a very good setup, and you will hold on to that trade and uh, be more confident about taking it to its objectives. So order flow is the ideal tool for traders to get in the finest of entries and exits. So immediately as live data changes, you know when you need to come out and when you need to get in. So a quick look I would want to have with today's options order flow chart, and let us see what signals we got in the options order flow. I would start with the 24,000 call, and then we will move on to the put, because as I mentioned, today was a day which was a dual auction nature day right from the open, where we opened lower, then got RBs, then came back higher, completed the 80% rule. In fact, we did the 80% rule in previous value 4 times, twice to the upside and twice to the downside. So a quick look at what the order flow of the 24,000 call was from morning, and then we will have a look at the put, and then we will see we will wind up for the day. So here at the open you can see we have no signals, but the only thing is this 927 bar has closed above VWAP with a green candle, and it is above the POC and the VWAP. We have discussed in the line chart section how we are bullish about the POC and VWAP of an option. So when that happens, we are looking for more upsides, and promptly so these NPOC lines in order flows would be probable targets, and that is what has been tagged. Once we get this good green bar at POC and VWAP, we'll definitely look for the upside NPOCs to get tagged. So that is what has happened here, and this is that IS bar which we saw uh, in the Nifty futures also. But once this IS bar could not break the VWAP, this is the option which we are seeing. So what we need to do is, once you get an RS plus IS even in an option, immediately you would want the VWAP to get broken. So that will give you more assurance. We will have a look at this and we will see how later in the day you got that IS which broke swipe through VWAP. So that will give you that confidence, and you know that yes, you can look for more downside here. But after this IS, you can see how we were getting RBs at VWAP. So when you're getting RBs at VWAP, you know there is more upside left in this. And once this IS high is taken out in this bar, the 1024 bar, this is in fact a earlier signal before this IB actually turned up. So this negation of IB bar, and this itself is an IB bar. So this signal 238 was a buy with the stop loss at this 210. And you can see how we had a zone of NPOCs here which was taken out with this big IB, and it went on to make a high of 333, I think was the high this made. in that. So what we do is when you get a very strong IB bar, that POC of that IB bar will become your trailing stop loss. You book your positions and hold on to rest with this as your TSL. This gets hit, you come out and you wait for a fresh signal. And here, when you get this fresh IB signal, you can even trail it further up to 285. So this is how you need to use the order flow charts and be in sync with what is happening in the futures. The options may give you even more signals and you can take advantage of that. So you can see how holding this call and trailing it to 285 gave you a higher move to 372. So in fact, even here there is no sign of any IS bar. So here this is the point where in the futures we stalled right at that extension handle of 24437. Here you can see how we have got an RS. The POC has shifted to the top. So here definitely you will book most of your positions, and this 350 345 zone would be your reference. If this breaks, then it can be an aggressive short side play in this option with a stop loss above this highs. So you can see how this got broken here with a red bar, and immediately in order flow what will happen if it is a good sell side signal, the POC of previous bar will hold on. You can see this 364 was not tagged and it went on to give you a fresh IS signal. So this IS signal again was a fresh short. So for those who are into option selling, these are the signals you need to look for to sell an option and accordingly place your stop loss. So when you are short, if you're short here, your stop loss would have been 383. If you were a short here, you can take this to be as your conservative stop loss and this POC before the IS bar as your aggressive stop loss. So you can see how that IS changed the theme and we went on to make lower lows, and in the bounce we got another IS. So the any objective of the seller which is coming at IBH or higher levels would be the VWAP. You will need to see what it does at VWAP, and you need to be more bearish only if it gives you an IS at VWAP also. So till the VWAP is broken, you will need to be little bit careful and make sure you're booking profits and not giving the money which you have made in the trade. So here in this 118 bar, you can see it did tag VWAP and it gave an RB, but still to be on the to look for any upside, you need to get an IB which negates this NPOC. So when the auction is going down, the order flow will keep leaving these NPOCs. So till the time these NPOs is not taken out, you will not change your bias. So here there was no reason to look for any long side trades in this CE till this was taken out. So here you see how at the VWAP we got an IS. So this NPOC not being taken out was a sign that this was just a small test. More downside was coming in this, and it went on to make lows of 203 and gave another IS just below VWAP and IS plus IS in the 10 T plus 10 setup. And here at 215, we got this 168 NPOC at the lows, which was not taken out. So here, when do you come completely out of this sell position? When the latest IS bar is negated. So when 193 is crossed, then you will come out of all your sell side positions. And then if you are an aggressive trader, you can look for a long entry above this 193 with a stop loss at this 168, which is the NPOC, which has not been tagged. And once this IB at POC came, it was very clear that the VWAP will get tested. And then the VWAP also got tested with zeros at this 226 level. So this 226 becomes your reference on the downside. So you can hold on to your longs as long as the latest reference is holding. Here you can see this 259 was one MPOC from the sell side. So where that got tagged at 239, it left an RS bar. So this was the end of the upside. And then once these zeros were taken out, you would no longer be long in this call. And here you can see how swiftly once this 229 was taken out, it went on to hit 195, the POC before this IB bar. So into the close, we have formed a balance. So we will have to look at what tomorrow open will show us. But on the 30-minute order flow chart, we know that the Nifty futures has an IS30. So this 24360 will remain an important reference for the rest of this weekly settlement, and any probe higher towards this, we would want the order flow to show us some fresh supply coming in. So on immediate reference would be this 24310. So above this 24360 would be the higher reference. So we will, as I mentioned, we will take in sync the 30-minute as well as the 3-minute. And what we do is we can even open the 2-window mode. We can have the 30-minute order flow chart on one side and the 3-minute order flow chart on the right side. So we have the important reference of 30 minutes at this 24310. If we get an IB bar on the 3 minutes, we know that you can look for a test of this 24360 level. So this is how we make use of these order flow charts and the market profile references, and accordingly look to take some very good good precision trades in order flow. So that is it for today, guys. In case you have any queries, you can please post them and I'll look to answer them. Or you can also message us. You can DM me on X. My X ID is open at Uttam Goel. And if in case there are any queries, I will love to answer them before we wind up the day. Just quickly look at the 24,500 put, also the order flow before we wind up, and see what the signals were in this. So you can see how when you are getting put IS signals in the put, that is telling you that the trend is on the upside. So you can see how we got this IS at 1024 below VWAP, and after which it went on to fall from this 347 level to 259. It got the POC shifted lower, which was then holding, and then we got this fresh IS signal, and it went on to make new lows. So as the POC is shifting, you would want the order flow also to show you what is happening at that POC. So here when the POC shifted here to 233, this was stalling on the upside. So you would want this kind of an IB bar and sustaining above the POC for telling you that you can get a bounce. So these are the lows which we made in this put for the day. So here once we got back above the POC, this IB bar, if even if you take an aggressive entry with this, your stop loss would be this POC of 232, and you can see how that POC never got tagged again in the day, and we went on to scale above VWAP and kept probing higher. And in the probe lower, the VWAP was getting defended, and every move back above the VWAP was giving us new highs. So this is how you want to look, and till the time you don't get an IS, you would want to be long in the put trade. So here you can see we've got an RS and you got this IS signal in 227. So here this is a very clear signal that you need to come out of your long PE trade. And if you are an aggressive trader and if you are a short seller, you can in fact use this for a retracement to the VWAP of the day. So here you enter into this short trade with a stop loss at this 400 level, and you can see how at VWAP you would want to book part and trail rest to cost. So you can see how it hit the VWAP, and from VWAP it went on to uh, retest the entry point. So this is how you look to make use of these signals, and this is how these signals, the IB and the IS signals, give you very precise support and resistance level and the entry levels also. So this is all for today, guys. This is what I wanted to talk to you and show you. And we have used the latest example. Although today was not that easy a day with many signals coming in. On days where you get multiple IBs and IS, the order flow becomes a treat, and it is a very useful tool to have some awesome trades going on. So thank you guys for joining in. You can get in touch with us at support@vtrender.com. You can go through our website. We have lot of learning videos. You have the YouTube channel where we upload all these sessions which we have conducted so far. We also have the e-course for people who are new to market profile and order flow. So you can look up at the link at on the website. And lastly, we have this VMR, the Vtrender mentoring room, where we have like-minded traders who sit together all day and look at these charts and the setups and the probable trades, and we keep discussing. We are the hands and eyes for each other, and we keep nudging each other about some good probable trades which we can uh, take. So we will have to wait and watch. There is a question from Ram Kumar who is asking if all the shots have covered. So we can not say for sure. And on the 30 minutes we have an IS bar on this. So I already mentioned that 24360 would be our reference for tomorrow, and this 24165, which is the RV bar, would be our support. So VWAP and the POC will be our reference for the open tomorrow, and we'll see what order flow signals show at the open, and accordingly place ourselves for those setups. And it'll be a rinse repeat of what I explained to you about today's signals for tomorrow's session. So do keep sending us your feedback, guys, and we'll be happy to address whatever uh, suggestions you have or queries you have. Yes, we do take every day as a fresh day, and moreover, because today's day has closed in the middle, so it's a balance. So we'll need to see what the order flow signal shows us tomorrow, and then accordingly uh, look for that kind of a move. Because the 10 bar caught also was marginal in both Nifty futures and Bank Nifty futures, which is why we are looking for a flat open kind of a situation tomorrow, and from there we will let the order flow lead us forward. So thank you guys once again, and signing off for now, and till the next time we meet, all the best and have a great trading week ahead.